Welcome to 49ers After Dark. It's extremely light in California, and I'm sweating, so I'm wearing a hat. Jesse looks phenomenal. Probably took a shower recently, has a nicer hat on. Actually, I like my hat too. How are you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing great. I haven't showered in 3 days, Grant. I'm gonna be honest. No, I'm just joking.
Me neither, man. Showering's for suckers. Who does that anymore?
Showering's for suckers. I think you know what just happened is Grant knows I'm coming to his house for this next week, and what he wants to happen is me to use zero water, is what he just said. So
Well, I have no kitchen, so I don't
yeah,
have to worry about you taking my food. I'm really not offering you very much. You can have a room. You can walk around. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you.
yeah,
But
yeah.
have a great time. Make yourself at home
I-
as much as you can,
for
which you
sure,
really can.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have fun. No, he's going to be here on Saturday for a whole week. Will we still be friends at the end? That's the game. And I like that game.
It's a fun game. I'm not gonna lie.
All right. So day one of training camp was today. No Brock Purdy. Day two is going to be really like the real day one. But day one was interesting. And I think it's been the Trey Lance show so far. Brock Purdy could take the spotlight, but right now, I feel like Lance hijacked it. I don't think the team wanted him to have the spotlight, but it's his because of the work he did independently. No direction from the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan said it. This was Trey Lance's decision. He found Jeff Christensen. Not sure how. Made a bunch of improvements, came back, and now he's a different player. Debo said it today. Kittle said it in the past. Kyle said it too. So should we get like specific in how Trey Lance has improved? I think you've seen some of it.
Yeah, most definitely. At least from what I'm seeing. Well, first of all, I mean, we can talk about the leg bend thing. You were all over that. That is so different. That is very clear. But to me, the biggest thing is the eye level and watching him stay at one eye level as he backtracks. So when he's in the middle of his drop, what he would do before is he would go, and as he loads, he would dip down, and then naturally as you throw and go to your front foot, you're raising. So his eye level was changing 3 times in one motion, which is really hard to stay accurate when you're looking like a bobblehead out there. A lot of quarterback coaches talk about it. What I'm seeing
We
from
saw
him
that in his
now,
North Dakota State film. He did
yeah,
that.
oh, it's everywhere. It was all over the
You
place.
can't. It's hard to hit. It's impossible to hit that way.
Yeah.
It's a baseball thing. Throwing it
Yep.
and hitting. You don't want to be moving your head. It only makes it harder.
For
It only
sure.
makes
Yeah,
it harder.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's
Yeah.
like the quarterbacks in the offseason that wear
have a
those
target.
glasses that flicker. That's
Yeah.
basically what your
You're
head's doing.
throwing
when
to
you're
a
going like
target.
this.
You're trying to hit a target. You need to keep your eyes still.
Yep.
That's the step one.
Very, very simple.
Step one.
And what he's doing now is he's dropping back at one level. And as he loads to throw, he's staying at that level. Now, every quarterback is going to raise naturally as you're going forward. That's just what happens. But he's now staying at that one eye level all the way through to the end. So to me, that is the biggest area of improvement. But I got to say, the highlights came out today from the 49ers. Shout out to them for actually doing some
They
awesome
actually
media
put
for
highlights
once.
out from practice.
They did. They
Wow.
actually did. And Trey Lance threw some, like there was 3 Trey Lance throws that were darts. I'm not seeing a wobble, Grant. You tell me, is the wobble gone? Was that a finger? Was that because of the finger?
To me, I'm not going to make it that clear cut. Like he's improving.
For sure.
He doesn't throw the same way every time. He's been doing this for like 90 days.
Yep.
So he's going to be working. I would assume he's going to be working with Jeff Christensen the rest of his career because it's working.
Probably.
But he's at the beginning of the process and he's made big strides and he will continue to make them. But there are some throws where you're like, a little bit of a wobble. But it's like, I still like him. And I still think you're going to see a dramatic uptick in his completion percentage because his short throw, this is what I see. And Debo said it too. Debo said he used to throw those short passes really hard. When he was trying to take the job from Jimmy as a rookie, everyone was like, man, he's getting a lot. There are a lot of drops, but look at how hard he's throwing these slants. And I think he does. It's not that I think, I see it. You've seen it. We've all seen it. He doesn't do that anymore. Debo said it. He doesn't do that anymore. He has touch. He has a much quicker release. He's not throwing as hard as he can on every throw. He's using his wrist. You know what I mean? He's not just an arm thrower anymore. He looks more like a body thrower. You don't hear about arm fatigue. This is all the stuff he needed to do. He got started on it 2 years late. I blame the 49ers. They should have known about Jeff Christensen. Jimmy's in the freaking building. Ask him.
Yep.
He's right there. That's Jimmy's guy. I can't wait for Trey Lance to get put in front of a podium so I can ask Trey, how did you find Jeff Christensen? Tell me. Will he tell me? He might not. And if he doesn't, I'll ask Jeff because Jeff followed me on Twitter. Oh, yes, he did. Jeff, how did this happen? Don't let Kyle take credit. He already washed his hands. He took a shot at Jeff. Did you hear that yesterday? I asked
Oh,
him,
yeah, he
"Are you
did.
the work that Trey did with Jeff?" And he's like, "All quarterbacks do this. Thanks."
And we don't dictate where they go. Yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
Thank
You
you.
absolutely dictated. Here's the other thing too. Well, the Jeff Christensen thing, I pretty just in talking to the old coaches, I'll just say that. I won't say who, whatever. Anybody who's been following me would know who I probably talked to, but in talking to them, it was all done through the rehab process. He worked with Mahomes' strength and conditioning coach, who you can see on the quarterback show if anybody watched that. Worked with him through his rehab. Naturally, those guys are close with Jeff Christensen. They meet, they work together through the rehab process. They enjoy working together. They continue working together. I think it was that simple. But I will say this, the other thing I noticed from the videos that you had posted today, to me, his throwing motion looked more compact than Sam Darnold's.
I was thinking that too. Like what I see now is with Trey, and in the past he would dip the ball below his waist when he would throw the ball. I think Justin Fields does the same thing. Now he's much more like Jimmy, where the ball is here, up and out. And I'm looking at Darnold like he has much more of a lower. He has a longer
Loopier.
release. Straight up, it's way loopier. Yes.
But what's funny is you wouldn't think that about Darnold until you kind of see it side by side. It's not like you look at Darnold and go, oh man, those mechanics are wonky, or he's got a loopy release or a slow release. You don't think that, but just side by side, I was like, really? I mean, that's quicker than Darnold. That's a big change. That's a big upgrade. Now, can you duplicate it a million times over? We'll see. But for right now, it looked pretty good to me.
And I did the little same throwing motion meme. Remember when I did that for Justin Fields and Cardale Jones? People got mad.
Yeah.
It like went viral. People were so mad, but I thought that was funny. So I did it for Jimmy and Trey, and I think you can kind of see what Jeff Christensen coaches, like the way he teaches quarterbacks to separate their hands at the beginning of the delivery. It looks like Trey is trying to ingrain what Jimmy ingrained a long time ago. And I wonder if Trey was sitting in those meetings looking at Jimmy being like, man, I'd love to have that release, man. Like, who taught you that?
Why wouldn't you want to? I mean, we can say what we want about Jimmy, but if you just look at him mechanically, it is clean as clean can be.
Where did you learn that? How do you do that? Can I learn that? Like, teach me. And what I think is kind of cool about Jimmy is he never was threatened by Trey. From all accounts, they got along. They are friends. Like, I don't know where Kyle stands with these guys, but it seems like Jimmy wasn't threatened by Trey. And on the way out, he did Trey a solid and was like, look, you need to go to this coach. I'm assuming that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's Jimmy's guy. I don't know.
It is his guy. No doubt about it.
Let's see what the super chats have to say about the matter. Niners Daddy says quarterback one isn't set. Trey Lance balling out today, puts a lot of pressure on Purdy tomorrow, coming off an injury. What happens if Purdy doesn't play well?
Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, 49ers Daddy. But I don't know. I'm not saying the door's completely closed, but to me, it all comes down to Purdy. What does Purdy do? If Purdy's not healthy or Purdy just looks awful, sure, Trey Lance will be the starter. But anything outside of that, I just don't see how Trey Lance can leapfrog Purdy for the starting position. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think it's going to be really tough for that to happen other than what I just said.
Yeah, absolutely. Wave 9 says, by no means is Lance Mahomes, but even Mahomes throws wobbles in practice great. You know they're doing a bit bait and switch with Trey and Brock. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's hard to knock Trey right now. And it's funny, like people that kept saying, man, he can't, his delivery's too long. He throws too hard. He can't hit the layups. He dedicates his entire offseason to working on those things. He makes improvements. And you hear crickets from those people. Like, if I was the kind of
what you hear is, he's passing up the long throws now. He should be throwing it.
Or let's see if it translates to real games. Let's see if it translates. Oh my God. I mean, I'm very critical of players too, but when they address the things that I'm critical of, I always give them credit. Always. You have to. Otherwise, you're not intellectually dishonest, disingenuous, and there's no reason for people to pay attention to you anymore. Because you obviously are detached from reality, and you have a narrative you want to prove right. You're not there to observe reality, that you're there to twist it to your narrative. That's not fun.
I mean, if anybody wants to go check out the the Baltimore Ravens post on Lamar Jackson and his throw to OBJ today. I mean, talk about a wobble. That thing was all over the place, but guess what? It was complete and it was a big gain. So, what does it matter if the ball is wobbly? I don't think I think that was always way overblown, but that seems to be rectified for the most part as well. So,
rectification is always a good thing. Wave 9 says by no means is Lance. Oh no, we got you already. Papa Phil. Trey's quicker release helps the O-line also. It doesn't hurt.
It can't hurt.
It couldn't hurt. And again, like to what all the Trey Lance detractors were saying was 85% of the throws are short throws. Okay, well, he's a lot better at those now.
Right.
What are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? I mean, Sam Darnold's the one that's freaking indecisive, has no idea what to do at any time. You give him the best offensive line in the league, he'd be like, what? No, I'm gonna that's Sam Darnold in the pocket. That's my impression of Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Thing is people want to shorts and t-shirts. I mean, that's everybody can do it. Shorts and t-shirt. Well, first of all, not everybody can. We see that people have ups and downs. But second of all, if Trey struggles in shorts and a t-shirt, then I don't want to hear anything from you because you said it doesn't matter. So we'll see.
Have you reviewed the new forward handoff rule and thoughts? No. What is that rule?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
Is it a Philadelphia Eagles thing? Are they trying to? What is that?
The only thing that I can think of is maybe like the behind the line of scrimmage, the pitch forward. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's you can't hand off to the running back as if he's going in front of you. I don't know.
Why would you not be allowed to do that? I don't know. What do you guys think of Lance processing and reading defenses? I think it's pretty good.
It's ever been an issue. I think that is one thing that I have talked about until I'm blue in the face with people. Is a lot of people say, "Oh, he needs to improve his processing," and he doesn't. No, his processing is fine. He goes through his reads, zero issue. That shows up all over film. He needs to trust what he sees and know what he can get away with, and that comes with playing time. But as far as can he go through his reads, that's never been an issue ever.
Josh McClung, member, thank you so much, Josh. G Code Travels Vlog POV says if Kinlaw gets a 6-7 sacks, does he get re-signed? I don't know because the Niners and they have so much money tied into so many other guys, but I hope he does, man. I was never rooting against Javon Kinlaw, and so far he's been healthy for a while, so I hope he does well.
He'll probably price himself out, which would be a good thing for Kinlaw. Let him get paid.
Yeah, man. Go get that money, baby. Dave Barclay says, "What's up, guys? Do anything good for summer?" Man, summer's over, dog. Where you been, man? It's over. At least for me, it is. I guess
kids go back to school in 2 weeks, so it's over.
Fire Kyle, play Trey. The rest of the team should be pretty good, but we'll see about the O-line. Can't wait. Love Niners after dark. Keep killing it.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Kyle can coach for one more year. I don't think we need to fire him in late July. That's not the time. Let's give him one more year.
It's way too late to be firing Kyle.
Josh McClung says, any Hargrave today at practice? Yeah, he was out there. Again, I basically don't evaluate linemen unless they have pads on. So that's why I didn't include him in the good or not so good. But he was out there. So was Armstead. So was Kinlaw. So was everyone except Nick Bosa. So
what day do they put on pads? How many practices in?
Monday, according to George.
Oh,
it used to be day 3. Now it's day 5. Back in my day, it was day 3. But
day 5. Do they count yesterday as a day?
I don't know.
Because that would be
anyway. I think it's be Monday.
Okay.
Edgardo Rodriguez says, I can't wait to see a full preseason game with Trey. If he performs well, the hype will be insane. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is with all these quarterbacks, they need 3 years. Just give me 3 years. Let me see it for 3 years before I'm like one way or the other, all the way in or all the way out. Has
Trey had 3 years, or is he essentially a triple redshirt?
No, I'm saying like most of the games in those seasons. It's going to be a while before you're going to be able to make a full decision on Brock. Yeah. I mean, excuse me, on Trey.
Mike Monahan says, say hi to Brock's dad on the right. Hi, Brock's dad on the right.
Oh, that's in that picture is what he's saying.
His dad played minor league baseball with the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Steve M says, all this quarterback talk making Grant rich. Kia Stinger. Yeah.
It's funny.
Kia Stinger's a good car. Just want to throw that out there. I like my Kia Stinger. Gabe's Niners says, is it fair to assume Trey Lance has the upper hand in the quarterback comp since Brock Purdy was rehabbing all offseason? That seemed to be what Debo was sort of saying today. I wonder.
I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just don't look at it as a quarterback comp. I think it's all Brock until he screws it up. Do I think Trey Lance is probably ahead of where Brock Purdy is at this moment? Yeah, I would assume so, being that he's been able to throw for a lot longer in somewhat of a competitive environment and his injury healed much sooner. But other than that, I just don't look at it as necessarily a competition with those two.
Dave Barclay says pretty much say fire Kyle in every super chat. I like it. It's a mantra. It's a refrain. Okay. So everyone's focused on the quarterbacks, but I think a player who's just as critical or questionable is Colt McKivitz, the right tackle. He was a backup last year. Great backup in the sense that he can play left side, right side, guard, tackle. Pretty much the ideal backup offensive lineman. Now he's a starting right tackle in the NFL. And the way the NFL has evolved over the last 10 years is that right tackles make darn near what left tackles make. And some of the best tackles in the league play on the right. And it's a really, really important position. And Colton McKivitz has to step up. I don't want to judge linemen too much without pads, but they're running the ball today. And we all know that last year, like 90% of the Niners' big runs went left.
Yeah.
The big ones. They're a very left-handed running team, and that was with Mike McGlinchey.
Are they ambi runners like Zoolander?
Not anymore. No, they are not ambi runners. And so, that was with McGlinchey, who Chris Forrester said is an elite run blocker. So now they got McKivitz, who they think is a worse run blocker than McGlinchey. It's a very left-handed running game. And I guess, it's okay because you compare it with play action bootlegs to the right. There are things you can do, but if you're a run first team, it's always nice if you can run left and right. It's always nice. And in 2021, when McGlinchey went down and Tom Compton went in, Tom Compton was dreadful in pass protection, but man, he could get out there and run on those sweeps for Debo. And if you go back and watch the Debo sweeps, I want to say most of them that went for touchdowns went to the right. The right. And it's too bad that the Niners can't get that. They got to get Tom. Where are you, Tom Compton? He was better than McKivitz as a run blocker. Maybe McKivitz is better as a pass protector.
That's true. As a run blocker, yeah. So what would you need to, because I get the feeling, and I don't necessarily think this is the case. Maybe it is, but I get the feeling that you think there's like no chance for Colton McKivitz to be worth a damn. Is the feeling that you give off when I watch you talk about Colton McKivitz. So what would you need to see from him during this training camp for you to feel better that they've rectified the offensive line? That's twice I've used rectified in this episode.
Right. I want to see some big runs go around the right the way they used to. I felt like back when McGlinchey was
without a tight end attached, I'm assuming.
No, it's fine. Like whatever. Because whatever, man. Let Kittle help you. They haven't had big runs around the right in a while. When they had Mostert, when they had young McGlinchey, when they had young Kittle, they used to rip off runs to the right a lot, big ones. And if you look at the scheme, the outside zone runs mostly go to the right. When they run to the left, it's more like tosses. They're supposed to have the fast, quick, agile run blockers on the right. That's where the big runs are supposed to come. Those guys are not pass protectors in this. They're run blockers, and they're light ones, and they're supposed to be reaching and running and pulling. Like,
right?
Come on, Colton, can you do that? Because Tom Compton could. Tom Compton had like the high knees. Like he was running around like running a 220 on a track. Literally. Joe Staley could do that. I'd like, I want to see if I don't think Colton can do that. Prove me wrong. I don't think McGlinchey could at the end. I think he's had so many injuries. We need Tom Compton back, man. Tom, what is he, like 35 now? Is he my age? I don't know.
I don't know how old Tom Compton
is. He wasn't appreciated in his time.
I feel like he could still play.
Mark of a real artist.
Yeah. Always appreciated after they're gone. Tom Compton.
Only appreciated after. Yeah, exactly.
I think. Okay. So here's my theory with the offensive line. Hear me out for a second. You tell me if you agree or disagree. The offensive line as a whole, even if Colton McKivitz is a downgrade from Mike McGlinchey, can be better because the three interior players should all improve in their second year starting.
That's a good call. Banks should be better. Burford should be better. I don't know what to expect from Brendel. It's not like he's 23. You know what I mean? We'll see. But we'll see. Maybe he takes
But
a
it's
step
his
back.
second
Maybe he
year
takes a step forward.
starting.
Yeah. Could be good. Could be not. They also have Feliciano, which feels like a hedge because they're making about the same amount of money. So one
For
way or
sure.
another, they got a center who started. Like, I think the two guard. I like the two guard. I like Banks and Burford. I was skeptical of Banks when they didn't play him at all as a rookie, but I'm not skeptical anymore. I think he's a solid player who could end up being good. I think Burford is a solid player who could end up being good. I just don't feel that way about McKivitz at all. And I think he plays a much more important position than those two guards. Like right tackle is really like almost as important as left tackle. If left tackle's here, then right tackle's like right there.
In today's
And guards
game,
like here. And center's like here.
So you said you respect what did you say with Banks? What was the word you used with Banks?
I respect Banks. I think he's
Not
solid
respect,
and could
but
be
you speculative. What was the word you used?
I don't know.
Skeptical. That's the word.
Skeptical. I was
words
skeptical.
are hard. Words
I
are
don't like
hard.
them.
I don't know if you know. Anyway, you were skeptical of Banks. Are you skeptical of McKivitz, or are you writing him off and don't think he's in a right back?
I was skeptical of Banks because the Niners buried him for a year. I'm skeptical of McKivitz because I've seen him play. Like, I don't know.
Right,
like I've seen him play.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like
that's fair.
He has a much more difficult position to play, and I've seen him try to play it, and I don't think he's good at it.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I don't know. I
just want to see where the baseline is of Colton McKivitz in Grant Cohn's mind. Not good. All right.
I mean, Banks was tough because like we literally hadn't seen him play the position. So when he started playing, it's like, okay, I guess they had a plan for him, and he was just a mystery. McKivitz isn't a mystery. We've seen him. Not a lot. But it's like, okay, we can say the same thing about Trey Lance. Guy was a 5th round pick they waived. I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel like there's none of the someone said who was it? Armstead said there's 6 or 8 teams in the NFL every year that have a real contenders. I don't think any of the real contenders have a starting offensive tackle at the Colton McKivitz level. None of them. None of them. I could be wrong. I'd like to know.
Yeah, I don't know.
How many other teams would he start for at tackle? Not the Seahawks, not the Rams, not the Cardinals. Like McKivitz, I don't know, man. Will they give him a 62 in Madden? That's disrespectful. Colton, call him up.
Gonna have to perform, man. He's gonna have to perform.
Louis says, I heard Kyle and I see his face when Lynch talks about Brock, and I think Brock is no lock. And Debo's comments, yikes. I hear Kyle and I see his face when Lynch talks about Brock. I feel like when Kyle talks about Trey, Lynch winces a little bit. And then when Lynch talks about Brock, Kyle's like, don't give me an arranged marriage for the second time. All right. You told me to marry Jimmy. I trusted you. I got out of it. I'm not trusting you again. I don't
know about Shanahan. I was definitely, when I went back and watched it the second time, I was fixated on the micro expressions from Lynch. And every time Brock was brought up, he'd get a smile and he'd look over and he'd wait for an opportunity to say something nice about him. Every time Trey was brought up, he would look around, pierce his lips, grab his water, and wouldn't contribute a damn thing. It was very, very clear that he is not a Trey Lance guy at all. And I think that should tell us going into this process, he never wanted Trey Lance, and Shanahan is the reason why Trey Lance is here. I think we know that now.
I think it's pretty clear. Brother Bob says, Iggy, how wide receivers and CBs look? Sub nails. Debo looks like a wide receiver again, as opposed to he looked like a running back the last 2, maybe 1 year. Looks like a wide receiver again. Ayuk always looks great. Ayuk caught passes today. Debo didn't. Oliver got smoked. No one can guard Ayuk. I stand by that Ayuk is
unguardable.
The best. Like Debo is really good, and you can't tackle him, but you can guard him. You can. You cannot guard Brandon Ayuk. And even if you do, he has these freakishly long arms and makes the catch anyway.
Debo, I didn't see him on the field. I didn't see him with his shirt off like Kyle did. But just even with a hood on today, you could just see it in his face how much thinner he was. Absolutely incredible. He worked his butt off this offseason, and I hope it translates for him. I really do.
Me too. Me too. It was interesting to see Debo today. I was looking at him. I'm like, man, that's what he looked like as a rookie. And then he came out and was
Mhm.
like, I feel like the last I've been since I was a rookie. I was like, okay, I feel like I'm right here with Debo again. I don't know what happened last year. Like
Yeah.
in 2021, I was Team Debo. I was the one after every game being like, dude, this is the best player in the league. Why is he not getting MVP consideration? The Niners should give him whatever he asks. And then he flipped out, asked for a trade, and I told him what was going to happen. He blocked me on Twitter. I was like, what? I'm on your side, dog. And then he had the worst season ever. And I was like, well, that's your fault. And now he's back on my side. So Team Debo, hashtag.
Yeah, you literally did have an episode where you talked about exactly how it was going to go and how not to act and to expect this from the 49ers and walked them through everything. And
I was like,
that's
dude, they're
pretty
going to
much
hold wide
exactly
back
how it
against
played
you. You
out.
don't see it coming, but they're going to hold the wide back thing against you. You're going to sit down. They're
Mhm.
going to be like, man, you're more of a running back, and it's going to piss
Yep.
you off. Don't ask for a trade. And he asked for a trade.
Yep.
I was on your side, Debo. But anyway, I think he's so much more mature now. You can see it. It's cool.
Yeah.
You forget that these guys are really young. They're a lot younger than us. So I forget that.
Yeah,
Saul Goodman,
sure.
if Trey Lance is good enough to beat out Brock Purdy for the starting job after the performance he gave last year, then everyone should be excited. Fernando would be excited too. Thank you, Saul. Dave Barclay.
All it took was a 49ers after dark to get a Fernando. That's great.
Why is LT more important than RT? Fire Kyle. Because in the past, left tackle would be the guy who would be in one-on-one in space blocking assignments more, and right tackle wouldn't. You'd have more closed formations with tight ends and running backs staying in to chip. Now, most teams want 5 eligibles in the pattern on all pass plays, the Niners included. So that means the right tackle is going to be in space one-on-one too. And a lot of times, the team's best pass rushers lined up on that side. So that guy's got to be great. And
yeah, also it's typically most quarterbacks are right-handed, so the blind side is going to be, you want to cover your backside, but
that's true. That's true. Suspiciously Specific says, do you think Talanoa Hufanga will stop giving up big plays at the beginning of the game with the new defensive coach? I don't know. I like Talanoa Hufanga. I feel like he had a month last year where he made some mistakes and was feeling himself a little too much, and then he fixed it, and then he was money again. So I'm not going to I feel like he's a really good player. That's basically how I feel about Talanoa.
I mean, we talked about quarterback development. This is Talanoa Hufanga's 3rd year. I think that is when players usually hit their stride. So I think he may not make an all-pro. There might be other players that just ball out and what have you, but I think he's probably going to be more consistent throughout the year than he was last year. And he was very good at points last year. And then there were times where you're like, I think he'll be more consistent for sure.
Papa Phil says McKivizd actually played well last year. Went in. I don't know who McKivitz is, but McKivitz didn't, in my opinion. Ryan G. Hensley Show says Trey still waiting to throw to CMC.
That's true. I did notice
that. Good
that.
point.
I did notice that.
Good point.
Yep.
WYR lose Debo or Kittle, says Jewish guy.
Would
you rather lose Debo or Kittle?
They get crappy with that $1.99. You only got so many characters.
I think Kittle because he's older, but then again, Travis Kelce's doing great. I mean, a lot of times tight ends can play into their 30s because they're so dominant in the red zone, which Kittle became last year. I don't know.
I would say if I'm just building a team, I would rather lose Kittle. But for the 49ers, because they have CMC, I would say Debo.
Yeah. Jewish guy says Poe or Fisher today. Again, I'm not really looking too much. The only person I'm going to crush on the offensive line with no pads is Colt McKivitz, obviously. I mean, this is how I do. Like I didn't want to say too much, but I just wanted to point out that every time they tried to run stretch right, it didn't work. And that's been a theme. And I don't see why that should change. It wasn't working with McGlinchey. Why is it going to work with McKivitz? McGlinchey post like 8 surgeries. Trey in kitchen cooking like stir fry yum, says Jot is Jot. We're getting some really creative 199 super chats. I like it.
Yep.
Should we talk some rookies? Rookies just stood out.
Yeah, I just want to. I want to know from you, like, who stood out. We know that Moody didn't kick today. I heard that Jair Brown was the first player on the field. So, just overall,
Interesting.
like, what was your assessment of the rookies, and anything good or bad come from them?
I want to see Jair Brown play with the starters
Mm,
because there's all these reports that he made a bunch of picks in OTAs when the media wasn't around, and like when he plays for the second team, it feels like Sam Darnold's freaking terrified of him. Like he won't throw anywhere near him, and I got a tip from a friend yesterday. Like, dude, compare Jair Brown physically, height, weight, speed to Ed Reed, and I was like, they're the same. And they have, I mean, he has very similar play making instincts. I'm not saying he's Ed Reed, who's one of the greatest of all time, but I'm not saying he's not either. I want to see what this looks like, and I have a feeling he might be starting week 1. I feel like he might be too good to keep off the bench, but it's like to keep off the field, but it's like they probably won't anoint him just yet. So I want to see more of him. The guy that I have seen, the tight ends, man. I'm so underwhelmed by Latu. And I don't want to write him off too early. I want to see what he looks like in the one-on-ones, but I just don't see a tight end who's going to like beat man-to-man coverage. And I know Dwelly can, and I'm pretty sure Willis can, and I know Kittle can. That's 3. And it's like, if you can't beat man-to-man coverage, like you better be freaking 6'8", 280, just, a load to bring down,
mhm.
unguardable in the red zone. Like, I don't think that's him. I don't see it with Latu yet. I don't know. I don't know. He
Yeah,
ran a
I
speed out
think
today against Andrew Hawkins, and Andrew Hawkins was just like all over him.
it's like,
I don't
nope.
know. No, absolutely not. Get the hell out of here. No, I don't know.
It's interesting, the Ed Reed thing, because I was on with a Seahawks content creator a couple days ago, and he really, he goes super in depth with his pre-draft breakdowns of players. So I trust at least what he's saying to a certain extent, because I know he works really hard during the pre-draft process. But he said that Jair Brown reminded him of Earl Thomas, another very, very good safety. So, and he said, obviously, if you look at 40 times, you'd be like, oh, come on, what are you talking about? But when you actually watch them play, he's like, he's got Earl Thomas written all over him, which Earl's kind of a poor man's Ed Reed, really, if you think about it. So,
Yeah.
they're all kind of in that same area. That's interesting that two people kind of came away with big time safety play out of Jair Brown. That's very encouraging.
Haven't seen much from Robert Beal. Darrell Luter Jr. is injured.
Yeah.
I do like Braden Willis. He caught a pass today. I think he's going to be the Niners version of Ben Skoranek,
Ooh, okay.
meaning he's going to be like a fullback.
Fullback. Yeah.
And,
That's what, yep.
Yeah. And it's like, will he be a dominant blocker? Like, maybe not, but like, he's going to be impossible to cover from that spot, just
Mhm.
like Skoranek is. Like, you put him out, you flex him out and put him in any other spot, like in the slot, like, but at fullback, oh, are we nickel? Are we base? What do we do? Can a linebacker cover him? Because a linebacker can't cover Willis or Skoranek. So if you go nickel, then you can, like, Skoranek can actually like block that guy. He can block that nickel
Yeah.
back. So it could work.
Yeah.
That's what I see. It could
It's
work.
interesting because when they drafted him, I immediately sent out a message. It was like, that's our new fullback.
Fullback.
But we'll
Fullback.
see. Hopefully.
Yep. Moody didn't kick today. It was Zane Gonzalez Day, which I just think is like, and he missed a kick from like 40 yards. Like, why is he on the team?
Why even?
Why do you have 2 kickers at this camp? Zane Gonzalez is terrible. I should have put him in the not so good. He missed like a 40-yard kick.
Zane
Get him out of here.
Gonzalez, you keep Zane Gonzalez if you bring in an undrafted rookie and then you make them compete. That's how that goes. But if you draft a kicker in round 3, you just remove the other kicker. Like, it shouldn't be that difficult.
John B says, what are both your expectations of Brock tomorrow?
We can get into this is a good segue to the other topic.
I expect him to struggle. I expect him to throw a lot of short passes, and anytime he tries to do anything other than that, it's going to be hit and miss.
Yeah,
And if he exceeds my expectations, God love him.
Yeah, I just don't have high expectations for him, and I don't think we should.
Rusty,
yeah,
not in rhythm, handsome, but that only take you so far. Niners rule says, hey, Grant, Here's $20 so I can ask my next question after the show starts winding down.
Okay.
I don't get it.
Liar.
Okay,
It was
thank
only
you.
$19.99.
Saul Goodman says John Lynch would never play poker after that press conference. His body language was obvious on what his preferences at quarterback. Kyle
Oh,
Shanahan stayed stone-faced the entire
brutal.
time.
Brutal.
But Rudel, what's the prediction at LT when Trent retires? McKivitz.
Hopefully they draft somebody. No. They got to draft somebody next year. They have to draft a tackle next year. They have to. Round
Big
one.
Neil Mason says underdog Trey hashtag. Also, JP will be fine. He's a Mason. Yeah. Nah, people think I'm biased sometimes. And like everyone knows I love Jordan Mason. So if I just minimized him fumbling and dropping a pass, he'll be like, well, I can't trust you anymore. So I had to say that. But at the same time, it broke my heart. But I also was very hard on Ty Davis Price last year. He was great. Let's talk about that. Cutlass players. Who are the Cutlass players? Danny Gray, Ty Davis Price.
I think Kinlaw.
Yeah.
I think Ambry Thomas. Absolutely, Ambry Thomas. Those are the four that stand out to me. Those are the four. So how'd they do? Let's go one by one. Let's go. Let's start with the running backs because that's where you were just at. TDP on that list. Talk me through his day today.
He kicked ass. Perfect. I thought he was indecisive. I thought he was terrible last year. I thought he was worse than Trey Sermon. And I thought it was like interesting that the Niners kept him over Sermon. But Sermon is like, doesn't have a burst. He's not that fast. And he could be as decisive as he wants. Like, he's not going to really do much. Like TDP, I don't know what clicked for him. But all of a sudden today, he wasn't messing around. He knew where he was going. He was finding lanes and he was running really hard. He also caught a 30-yard pass up the sideline from Lance. Got to give it to him, man. He looked good. He didn't look like McCaffrey or anything, but he looked good.
He also looked pretty explosive overall, right? Which is something that wasn't necessarily fully there last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Got to give him credit. He looked good.
Okay.
He looked the best of the Cutlass players. He looked like a guy who, like, one of those second-year players who made the giant leap from rookie year. Looks way different.
Love it.
Way different.
Okay, that's great to hear. That's really, really good to hear.
TDP.
Okay, good. That means they didn't waste necessarily their pick on running back.
It's just day one, but so far so good. I was very impressed. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, let's stay on the offensive side. Let's go to Danny Gray. How'd he look?
Not good. I know I feel like his route running has improved, but just catching the ball, like he was open on a deep out today and caught it, but couldn't keep 2 feet in bounds. It's like, okay, like it's the NFL and it's your second year, but okay, happens. And then he beat Ambry Thomas, more on him in a minute, but he beat Ambry Thomas on a deep route up the right sideline and had him smoked, and maybe a better throw. You know, maybe it was on Darnold because Darnold didn't really hold the safety and he kind of underthrew it. So
that was
now
the Hufanga play, right?
Yes. So now he put Danny Gray in a situation where it should have been like an uncontested touchdown, but now it's a contested catch. And you know, who you taking, Hufanga or Danny Gray at the catch point?
Hufanga. Yeah, easy Hufanga.
And it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, he wasn't even close. So it wasn't necessarily his fault. Like maybe it wasn't his fault that those are both Darnold throws, by the way. Let him out of bounds. No, one might have been Brandon Allen. I forget. And one might have been Brandon Allen, but do better. I don't know. He didn't catch any passes. I'm not saying they're going to cut him, but he like didn't have that big day that TDP had. He beat Ambry Thomas though. He was better than Ambry.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Just based off of what you said, what I'm hearing you say is he doesn't have an issue getting open. That is not the problem. But actually making the catch at the catch point and keeping his feet in bounds and situational awareness might be an issue. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you can get open, eventually you might be able to figure out how to catch the ball. Maybe.
Yeah, I remember in OTAs you said that he ran the most beautiful route. And just dropped it. It was a slant, I think, in the end zone. You said
he just tries to catch it with his chest, and it's like,
yeah,
come on.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna write him off yet. Ambry Thomas was the one that got smoked. Every time I look at it, I'm sorry, Ambry, but like, compete, man. What the hell happened? You were competing as a rookie. I feel like you haven't really even been competitive the last couple of years. I don't get it. I don't. You got the height, weight, speed. You played well at Michigan. You played well as a rookie. You made huge plays in playoff games. What happened?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
He was supposed to be Lenore. He was the one that was supposed to start right now.
Yep. I don't understand. So
He was way ahead of
it.
Lenore their rookie season.
And then
way ahead of him.
Kinlaw looks healthy and in good shape. That's the most you can say. Let's see what he does one-on-ones. Yeah. But healthy and in good shape is good. Manufactured easy ones
most
for
the battle.
tomorrow.
That's most the battle with him. It really is. That's the battle.
He cannot improve unless this happens, and it's happening. Manufactured easy ones for Brock tomorrow, probably. That's what the games were. I swear if Kittle and CMC only practice with BP, says official B&A Music 88. Didn't it piss you off last year? I don't know. Like when Kittle got hurt in practice right before week 1, I was like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? That's how I felt.
Yeah, and not that he's like purposely trying to miss these games.
Nope.
But it's like, dude, man, really? The odds? Yeah.
He really needed you, man. Nate Salinas says, hey, Grant, are you going to miss covering Jimmy G, the winner, now that he's going to take the Raiders to Super Bowls? I heard that Jimmy was talking crap to the Raiders defense in training camp. I really hope he does that to the Niners defense in the joint practices. Great. He's like, man, I carried you guys.
Oh, that's
all me.
Can't wait. I cannot. That the footage that comes out of that is going to be incredible.
Kevin Crittenden says, what do you think Kyle risks by being too attached to the way plays are supposed to go?
I mean, development of a quarterback is probably the biggest risk, right?
Micromanagement in general. Did Flav change his name to Nate?
I don't think so. He still comments on my channel. It's not just Flav though. It's like Flav the Great or something ridiculous. I don't even know.
Tell the good people what Chris Sims said about Sam Darnold. Chris Sims. Shout out to Chris.
Yeah. Sims said that he believes Sam Darnold can have a Geno Smith-like resurgence. And it made me laugh a little bit. Here's the thing about Sam. I think he can play his best football here. The difference is Geno Smith. I talked about the 3 years of playing, Grant. His rookie year, he was 24, then 25, or 23, then 24. He played back-to-back years to start his career for most of the games. Then he didn't have his third year until last year. His third year was last year. And so you saw the breakout play in his third year of actually playing. Sam Darnold has played his 3 years. He's just an awful decision maker. Absolutely atrocious decision maker. He's indecisive, as you say. Do you see that type of resurgence in him based off of what you've seen? Do you think it's too early to make a judgment on him? Where do you stand on Sam Darnold?
To me, I feel like this is ego and pride coming from the Shanahan camp. Like he saw what Pete Carroll did with Geno and said, I could do that. I could do that. Yeah. He's thinking that Darnold will be the next Geno. Maybe, but I think they're missing the process that Pete Carroll took with Geno. Pete Carroll was patient. Pete Carroll brought in Geno in 2020, had him on the bench for 2 years. It was a very slow, patient process. He didn't just get Geno, throw him on the field, give him a new system and new playmakers and be like, now you're good. Like, no, he gave him years. And I don't think Kyle Shanahan gets that. Like, he's so impatient with quarterbacks, and he's had instant success with a few. So I think he feels like if it doesn't happen right away, it's not going to happen. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he's so impatient. So if Darnold doesn't play well as soon as he gets on the field, Kyle's like, well, whereas Geno took time. And maybe that's why it worked out for Geno, because there was patience.
I mean, Geno, he sat behind some good quarterbacks. He definitely learned as much as he could being a backup. And you're right. They brought him in. They made him compete for a job last year. The year prior, he was a backup. He had played sparingly. But the other thing that he does, or that the Seattle Seahawks do, and Pete Carroll in particular, is that when he chooses somebody, he's all in on that player. All in. Mm-hmm. He may have a competition early like he did with Russell Wilson and Flynn, or like he did with Locke and Geno Smith. But once he makes a decision, that is it. We are not talking about the other quarterback. That guy doesn't exist. We are all in on this player, and that's something that I haven't seen from Shanahan.
I just think it's interesting. Like Geno is a great story, and teams should be looking for the next Geno, just like teams are looking for the next Brock. But I think you got to look at Geno's journey. Like Geno is on, he's on his fourth team, and he's been on this team for 3 years. Like they didn't just get him and throw him on the field. It took time. His quarterback rating initially was 94. Like he wasn't great right away. No, I mean in 2020 he threw 5 passes. In 2021 he was 1-2 as a starter.
Yeah.
Like he had good numbers, but it was a little bit of a leap of faith.
They
So,
also
I don't
couldn't
know.
move the ball on offense, if I remember correctly. I
Yeah.
watched them a couple games. I'm like, they cannot move
So
the
if he
ball
is
at
the
all.
next Geno Smith, then that means he'll be good in 2025.
Right.
So
For
great.
not
I
the
hope he is.
49ers.
Maybe he is the next Geno Smith in that sense, but that doesn't mean he's going to be leading this team to the Super Bowl this year. That means he might
Yeah.
be taking some positive steps 2 years from now, and maybe 3 years from now he'll be leading the team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the starting quarterback, presumptive starter, Brock Purdy, fully
Yeah.
cleared, didn't practice today, starting to practice tomorrow. How much patience do you think we're going to need to give Brock?
He may just come out and ball out. I think we got to be patient. The one thing that can't happen is if he has a rough couple practices, and maybe not even tomorrow, maybe practice 2 or practice 4 or whatever. We have to show patience with him. You can't be all over the internet victory parading a bad day from Brock Purdy in practice and he sucks now and this. We can't do those things. He is coming back from a major injury, and he is way ahead of where he should have been, in my opinion, based off of everything we've seen in the past. So they should be very patient with Brock Purdy. We should be patient for Brock Purdy. And I think that he's earned that, especially because they're not playing a game yet. So I'm curious to see the reactions. I know that people are going to go crazy one way or another. If he plays really good, you're going to hear it. If he plays really bad, you're going to hear it. I just think we should expect some up and down days. I think that is fair to expect that.
Yeah, it's his first time going against the Niners defense.
Mhm.
And, maybe Purdy's great. Maybe we're underselling him, but Jimmy struggled against this defense every year. Trey really struggled against this defense last year. I expect Brock to struggle against this defense. And you got to remember, if he has bad days against this defense, it's the best defense in the league. He's supposed to. Every quarterback does. The only one who doesn't struggle against this defense is Mahomes. And he even struggled in the Super Bowl against this defense.
Yeah, even if Purdy's great, that doesn't mean that he's not going to have some up and down practices or up and down games. Everybody goes through growing pains. Like this is not new news that we're throwing out here. Oh my gosh, Brock Purdy's going to have ups and downs. Just be patient. We have to have tons of patience, especially coming off this injury. So I'm very excited to see how he's going to play. I'm very excited that he's healthy and that I'm going to be able to watch him play, and Sam and Trey and all of them, and just put my own eyes on it up close and personal, and come away with a thought based off of everything that I'm seeing from all the quarterbacks. I'm excited for that.
I'm intrigued because it felt like the Niners were going to give Brock Purdy the job. Like, hey man, you don't have to practice this offseason. Take your time. You give yourself 3 weeks to sort of ramp up, and then it's your job. Like, that's not what they're saying at all. They're like, you want to start this year? Well, play right now. Do the whole training camp. And that makes it kind of seem like he has to prove something in practice, which makes it kind of seem like there's a quarterback competition, which is what Deebo Samuel alluded to today. Like when they were like, hey, Deebo, how happy are you to have your starting quarterback back? He was like, oh yeah, really excited for this quarterback competition. Trey looks great. So I think there's a lot of urgency on Brock. I do not think they gave him the job. I think they said Brock,
that was interesting because the question was specific about Purdy. How excited are you to have Brock Purdy back healthy and ready to go?
i.e. your starter
for the quarterback. Yeah, I'm excited for the quarterback competition.
Trey
Lance looks really good.
Uh-huh.
And then somebody followed up.
Telling.
I thought it was you. I gave you credit. The wrong guy. I gave the wrong guy credit. But either way, somebody followed up and said, be specific. How does he look better? And he just went on like, oh, he looks better in this and this and this.
Yep.
That was very interesting response from Deebo. Yeah.
Touch. He's like, he used to throw those short ones kind of hard, and Deebo catches those short ones. So that means something to him. I feel like people were speculating that Deebo would prefer Jimmy over Trey because Deebo was Jimmy's go-to guy. Well, we just heard how Debo feels about this. So
Yeah, and
but
he may have preferred Jimmy over Trey then because Trey was not doing those things. So we're talking about a completely different player in year 1 to year 3. So that may have been true, and it could have changed now. That being said, I think the best thing for Brock and the best thing for the 49ers is for him to get in as early as possible. More so, I don't know if they're looking at it as a competition, but I think what they are doing is, hey, you got to work out the rust. We expect there to be some rust. The more you can practice and kind of shake that off and get through things, the better we're going to be come week 1, the better you're going to be come week 1, the more comfortable you're going to be.
yeah, it's just interesting. Like, there's a lot of pressure on Brock.
There is
Be ahead of schedule, be great, be as good as last year. Like, he hasn't had any time to improve his game. He probably isn't 100%. He's probably doing the best he can, and he's going to be the one facing the first team defense. Like, the bar for him is way up here, and if he comes right here, while the bar for Trey is down here, and if he's right here, the narrative could be, wow, Trey's blowing away expectations while Brock is not quite what they wanted. Well, like, maybe Brock's still better. Who knows? Like, they have themselves a situation. It's going to be interesting.
Well, Bosa's not playing. That'll be helpful, I guess. You won't have him breathing down his neck. So that's good.
I bet he'll be back in a week. They can't let this drag on, right? It looks bad to the organization.
I think Sunday after practice, we'll get the announcement, is my guess.
Right, because Monday's the first day of pads, which is when you need your D-line back. So Sunday, I'm with you on that. Case 49 says, why isn't Lynch pumping up Trey's trade value? Maybe he's just.
I don't think Shanahan will allow him to trade him yet.
There you go. Brian Hernandez says, if y'all seen that show Quarterback and see how much freedom Reed gives his players, Chiefs been great. Kyle, stop trying to control everything and everyone.
Yes.
Micromanager.
Every Wednesday, Chiefs players get to come up with a play and see if it can make the install, and they love it. What's funny is Andy Reid took a lot of crap because people got so mad about the merry-go-round play that it wasn't even his. That was Patrick Mahomes, and he took it on the chin and was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, you think I'm making a mockery of the league, but really my quarterback came up with that play, so whatever. I'll take it.
And he's making a mockery of the league by kicking its ass every year.
Yeah.
Niners daddy says Kyle Shanahan try Trey back as QB1 by rushing BP back to fail.
No, that's the other thing too. I don't think they're necessarily rushing him back. You might disagree with me on this one, Grant. I don't think they're rushing him back. I think he is cleared, and they had a process, no matter what, that they wanted to follow, which is 2 days on, 1 day off. Really, the quarterback coach or the surgeon is like, hey, he's full go. You can practice him every day. And they're like, well, we're pumping the brakes. That's the way I read into that situation. I don't think they're rushing him back.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, he might be rushing himself back, but it seems like he's cleared. So that's that. Papa Phil says Kyle put injured Brock back in Philly. Yeah.
And he threw a football too.
Crazy. Have you seen Quarterback on Netflix? Not yet.
Yes.
I shall.
It's fantastic.
Scott Short says, one thing you've got to admire about Brock Purdy is he never ceases to exceed expectations. That doesn't mean he's better than Lance, but it's respectable. It's early. But yeah, it is respectable for sure.
Oh, Scott 1,000%. He's already outplayed his contract. It's not debatable.
Absolutely. I'm done working today.
Good.
Here's what I did. I woke up at 7:22, went to the gym, pumped iron, lifted weights.
All the iron, yeah.
Dude, some people were there. They were like, look at that guy. He's lifting weights. And I was like, yeah, it's me pumping iron. And then I left, took a shower, went to work. You know what I mean? Did my thing, came back, streamed for 2 hours. Now I'm done. I'm fucking done. Had a good time, but now it's over. I'm going to do it again tomorrow.
Man. And for the whole summer, the rest of the summer, this is going to be a lot of work.
I'm getting too old for this shit, man. Was that Lethal Weapon 4? I'm getting too old for this shit, man.
You did your Thug Thizzle, Grant.
Thank you very much. What are you doing the rest of the night?
I've got a stream. I'll probably start it in like 10 minutes to call in. So call in, give your takes, come over to Last Second Sports.
You're 40 and you got more endurance and
stamina. I'm a man. I'm 40.
You are. I'm the world's oldest 35-year-old. Thank you very much. I'm exhausted.
Hey,
you have a good night. Go check in with Jesse. Brian, Purdy is pressure because if they trade Trey Lance and they basically give up 3 firsts and a third for him too. Oh, that's an interesting point.
That
That's
is
an
very
interesting
interesting.
point.
I had
Good
never
point,
thought about it
Brian.
like that. That's a great point.
Thank you very much. We're out. Go see Jesse on his channel. I'm out of here.